It's almost Christmas. Hope everyone is having a great time. So for the holidays, let's celebrate with 3 true subscriber ghost stories that happened on or around Christmas time. I want to thank Miss Minecraft, Catsull, and Asylum King for making this all possible. So grab a blanket, turn off your lights, and happy holidays to all. Randy. So when I was younger, a lot of paranormal stuff happened. The typical monsters under the bed type fears, and some more obscure ones, like the one I'm going to share with you. When I was 6 years old, my mom had recently started a new job. The hours were fairly late. She would get home around 9:30 every night, and left at 6 every morning. It was around Christmas time when this happened. My mom got home one night, and she was too tired to go upstairs to the bedroom, so she fell asleep on the couch. I brought her down a blanket, got a glass of water, went back upstairs, and fell asleep. I woke up around midnight because I heard a loud noise coming from downstairs. Assuming it was my mother, I went downstairs to check on her. Once I got downstairs, I saw my mom, still asleep on the couch. This made no sense. Me, being a nosy child, decided to go into the kitchen to see if my dad was downstairs. When I got into the kitchen, I nearly screamed. All the pots, cups, plastic plates, and cutlery were scattered across the floor. I ran into the living room to wake my mom up. When she didn't wake up, I ran towards my dining table, which was in my living room, that has an opening towards the stairway, and something came into my vision. It was a man. I don't remember what he looked like, but I know it wasn't a friendly appearance. I screamed at the top of my lungs for help. The man had vanished. My mom woke up and immediately ran over to me and tried to calm me down. It wasn't until she told me that there was a man, I'll call him Randy, who died of a drug overdose when I was younger, right next door to our house at the time, that I drew the connection. Randy used to come over and bring me toys. He was a good person. My parents were good friends with him and never told me that he had died, as I was too young to understand at the time. I'm not sure if who or what I saw was Randy, but that's who I like to think it was. Humans strive for fulfillment and answers. That's the only way I can even try to think of what happened without thinking too far into it. Thanks for reading. It feels good to tell the story to get it off my chest, though it's not too scary, I guess. True paranormal that has happened to me. Hello. Now, there are a few paranormal stuff that's happened to me. These are all true. All of my life, I've lived with my grandparents. There is a room I never felt comfortable in or around. I later found out it was my father's old room, and found out by my dad he did some Satanist stuff. I'm not sure what kind, but it was in my room. I've always felt watched in the room, no matter if I was alone or if my grandparents were there. We all have heard scratches on the doors, knocks on the doors, and doors slamming when everyone was in one room. When I was starting 6th grade, I started to sleep in that room I was scared of. I always woke up at 2 a.m., and I had a huge window and I was upstairs. Now I say this because I saw one bright orb one night. It circled the house. Soon, another one joined, and then another one joined. I was so scared. The next day I told a lot of people. They claimed it was car lights, but it was in the air. I can see the ground if I sat up. It wasn't a car light. We only had one neighbor that lives on our left side. One night, I just wanted to make a note that there are no red stuff in my room. Nothing moved. I was laying on my bed, and when I blinked, I saw a red orb. It moved right to left and circled me. When I got up to get my grandmother, it was gone. Now, my third story happened after my grandfather died. It was a week after his death. My first week of high school, I slept in the same room with my grandmother to calm her down. I've had trouble sleeping ever since I was little, so 2 a.m. came around and I heard footsteps to the hallway bathroom and stopped, but slowly walked downstairs. I think it was my grandfather that did all this. My last story happened on Christmas. I got a glass doll for Christmas. I love glass dolls, but this one had an odd feeling about it. I would turn its head so it wouldn't look at me. Every day I walk in my room, and its head would be turned back, staring at me. I've had horrible nightmares for 10 years, a lot of demonic voices laughing at me. When I was 18, I moved out of that house and moved in with my dad and stepmom. The nightmare stopped, and everything felt right. I am able to sleep now because of my choice to move. I feel sorry for my grandmother that lives there alone, but it wasn't her fault that I chose to leave. The Two-Time Intruder. Story 1. I'm not really sure when this next story happened. I have a hard time remembering some of the details. It would have been most likely Christmas in 8th grade, because that's when we got our dog, and he was with me at the time. Anyways, it was just me and my dog home. I was in bed, probably doing something on the computer, when I heard, if my memory is correct, the sound of someone opening a door and walking inside, directly below me. My dog heard it too. Nobody had actually come in the house, and I don't know if it was likely that it was the sound of the neighbors opening their side door, which faces the north end of my room. It seemed a bit too loud to be the neighbor's door though, since I can't think of any instances where I have heard them opening their outside doors. Story 2. This was in the winter of my freshman year in high school. It was around 9 p.m. and I was in the family room practicing a dance routine of sorts for gym class. I didn't want to perform tomorrow, but I knew that I needed to practice some so I could make it as painless as possible. My dog was with me as well. From where I was standing, I can look south into the kitchen and see through the kitchen window on the south side of the house, next to the driveway. For whatever reason, I was looking at this direction, and I saw what looked like the red brake lights of a car passing by through the kitchen window and out of view, heading in the direction of the garage. It was dark out, so I just saw the lights and not the body of the car. Though this didn't bother me. I reasoned it was too dark to see the car itself when there was little light reflecting off of it. My parents weren't home, so I expected the lights to be of them returning. My dog saw these lights as well, as he at least seemed to perk up. He often knows if someone has pulled into the garage, even if he doesn't see the car itself. I stopped my practice and waited for my parents to come inside. but they never did. I waited several minutes, but still no sign of my parents. I decided I would take action. I grabbed a large pocket knife and went outside to investigate. There was no car to be found. I walked around the garage and the backyard, but found absolutely nothing. Had I found an intruder, I doubt I would have had the courage to harm them with my knife. It was most likely just to intimidate them. Pretty freaked out, I went back inside and locked the door. I kept the pocket knife with me and sat down to think over what had just happened. A feeling of dread came over me. And a thought, a very strong, prominent thought crossed my mind. I thought about killing myself, and then my dog with my pocket knife. While I suffered, and I continued to suffer from depression, and sometimes thought about suicide, it was very out of character for me to actually think about how I would kill myself. I normally just thought about the idea in general, before forcing it from my mind. I told my parents what happened when they got home, and I would later ask my mom to take my pocket knives and hide them somewhere so I wouldn't be tempted to hurt myself with them. While I cannot prove that the thoughts of suicide were connected to the event, I may have a reason to believe that they were or were not. Since I had the knife with me, maybe it was just a fleeting thought to get out of doing this whole dance thing in gym tomorrow. But that doesn't explain why I thought about killing my dog. For those of you reading or hearing this story who are concerned about me, I promise you that I didn't hurt myself. And it's all behind me now.